Ever feel like your mind is like a war zone?
Yeah.
Totally. Well, get this. We're diving into Sun Tzu's Art of War today.
Okay.
But hold on, not the battlefield stuff you'd think.
Really?
Yeah. This is about using that old wisdom to win, the battle for inner peace in here.
Interesting.
Right. Okay, so our deep dive today covers this wild theory about the art of war.
Right.
Basically, some think Sun Tzu, he wasn't just a military genius. He was like a self-mastery guru, hiding his message for inner peace inside a war manual.
Wow. Secret code.
Totally.
And that's what makes it so relevant, right? Like, the real battles aren't fought on some far-off battlefield. It's all about what's going on in our own minds, our own mental landscape.
Exactly. He's basically handing us this ultimate self-improvement guide, disguised as, a war strategy book.
I like that.
The whole thing hinges on this idea of conscious awareness.
Okay.
Sounds kind of complex, but it's really about, hitting pause amidst the daily chaos. Yeah. So instead of just reacting to, I don't know, like a frustrating email or whatever, or getting totally spiraling with worry.
Right.
Conscious awareness lets you see those thoughts and feelings before you react.
Exactly. You get that space, that gap between what's happening and how you respond. And that's powerful.
Totally. To make it relatable, the author uses this example. Imagine some jerk cutting you off in traffic.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh. That instant anger, wanting to yell, Sun Tzu would say, boom, that's us losing the inner peace battle.
You're letting the outside control how you feel inside.
Exactly. We're letting some random driver mess up our whole inner state.
It's like they're breaching your defenses and your whole kingdom's in chaos because of it.
And just like a real war, that constant turmoil takes its toll.
Okay, Holly.
The book talks about this in the chapter, The Costs of Waging Mental War.
Okay.
Sun Tzu, he compares dwelling on past screw-ups to, get this, letting the enemy steal your supplies. Yeah, it depletes you, but no strategic gain. We do that all the time in our lives.
It's so true. That's a great analogy. We keep replaying those same mistakes, regrets in our heads.
Yes.
And it just drains you.
Yeah.
Stops you moving forward.
Totally. So how do we plug those leaks, those energy leaks, and win these inner battles?
Right.
That's where Sun Tzu's strategies come in. He breaks down finding inner peace into 13 chapters. Each one's like a move to master your mind.
Like a game plan.
Exactly. Chapter 1 is called Laying Plans. Big surprise, right?
Makes sense.
It basically says to get that mental calmness, you need a plan.
Yeah.
Just like a military campaign.
Okay.
You got to know what you're up against, your thought patterns, distractions, anything that keeps you from feeling that real peace.
It's like doing reconnaissance, but on your own thoughts. What are your triggers? What throws you off? Figure that out.
It's like doing recon on your own thoughts.
I love that. So we've mapped out our mental battleground, right?
Yeah.
We see what's draining us.
Now we got to figure out how to actually win these inner battles.
Yeah.
And that's where chapter 3 comes in, called Undertake by Stratagem. Basically, it's about learning to observe your thoughts without judging them.
Not getting swept away by them.
Exactly.
It's where you really start mastering yourself. Instead of getting into this back and forth with your thoughts, trying to force them down, you learn to just be aware, detached.
So it's like becoming this curious observer, right? Like a scientist studying your own mind.
Exactly. You're not labeling thoughts good or bad. You're just noticing them with curiosity.
That's so cool. And to explain it, Sun Tzu uses this great analogy. He compares observing your thoughts to really meticulously getting ready for a special guest.
Oh, okay.
You're paying attention to every detail, the mood, the food, the conversation, making sure everything's perfect.
I see. So it's about bringing that same focus to your inner world.
Yes. You're creating this space where thoughts can come and go without you getting all caught up in them.
Without getting trapped.
Exactly. So instead of immediately freaking out when you get anxious or start doubting yourself, you just pause, observe, and then choose how you'll react.
You're in control.
Yes. And that leads us to chapter 5, Rooted Concentration. This one's super practical, all about how powerful it is to intentionally direct your attention.
Focus.
Yes. Sun Tzu says it's like this rushing torrent of water. It can even move the heaviest rocks.
Wow.
Right? So it's not about just sitting still trying to have a blank mind. It's about actively getting into this deep focus.
Being present.
Exactly. And one of the key ways to cultivate this rooted concentration, he says, is through your breath.
The breath.
Yeah, it's like this anchor. It keeps your mind steady when everything else is like going crazy with thoughts and emotions.
It calms things down.
Totally. It's like you always have this built-in tool to, calm the waters of your mind.
I like that.
Okay, so chapters 3 and 5 were about observation and concentration, right? But chapter 6, balancing weak and strong points. This one's different. It's about noticing how our thoughts, they kind of have this cyclical nature.
Like waves, yeah, ebbing and flowing.
Exactly. And it's easy to get stuck in those patterns, especially the negative ones.
Oh, yeah. The hamster wheel of worry and self-doubt, right?
Totally. And Sun Tzu says to break free, we got to shift our focus to our strengths, our wins.
The things that lift us up.
Yes. It's about realizing we have a choice in where we focus our attention.
Choosing to focus on the positive.
Exactly. We can take control of the story in our heads, highlight the good stuff, ditch the stuff that's dragging us down.
Powerful, like editing your own mental movies.
Yes,
yeah.
Love that. It's like we have this total control to rewrite the stories we're telling ourselves in our heads.
Yeah, it's true. And that power goes even further than we might think. In chapter 7, calculated awareness, Sun Tzu, he brings up intuition, that inner knowing, right?
Yeah.
The one that guides you even when your mind's racing a mile a minute.
You mean like that gut feeling?
Yeah.
When you just know something but can't explain why.
Exactly. He compares it to a gong. That single clear sound cuts through all the noise and just brings this instant clarity.
I love that. So how do we tap into our own inner gong, that intuition, especially with all the mental chatter going on?
Well, it starts with stillness. Giving yourself space for that inner voice to, come through. Remember these practices we talked about, observation, concentration?
Yeah.
Those are key. They help calm the surface so you can dive deeper.
To get to that deep well of wisdom inside.
Exactly. And as we cultivate that calculated awareness, Sun Tzu says, we start seeing past the limits of our own minds. In chapter 9, contemplative awareness expansion, it's all about how our awareness can actually expand outward to encompass the whole world around us.
Whoa, so it's like our awareness becomes this panoramic lens.
Yeah. Sun Tzu uses the image of a wheel. Our individual awareness is at the center, but it's connected to something way bigger.
So instead of feeling like we're in this alone, with our struggles, we start to see how connected everything is.
Exactly. We're all part of this massive web, and that realization, it can be incredibly freeing. And this brings us to one of the deepest insights in the art of war. It's in chapter 13, Discerning Frailty, where Sun Tzu says, even our enemies, those roadblocks we come up against, they have this built-in vulnerability.
So it's like realizing that everyone, no matter how tough or scary they seem,
right,
they've got their own stuff, their own fears and insecurities they're dealing with.
It changes everything, right? You see that shared humanness. And that's where compassion comes in, for ourselves and for others.
So we can approach those tough situations with more understanding, more empathy, instead of just fighting fire with fire.
Exactly. And it doesn't mean we roll over and let people walk all over us. It's about knowing that real strength. It comes from responding with wisdom and compassion, no matter what we're facing.
It's like the true victory is finding that inner peace and then radiating that peace out into the world. So wrapping up our deep dive into Sun Tzu's Art of War, it seems like this ancient text, it still has a ton to teach us about handling challenges, not just on a battlefield, but in our everyday lives.
Absolutely. By mastering our minds, becoming more aware, and seeing how interconnected we all are, we can totally transform our inner world and create a more peaceful, fulfilling experience, not just for ourselves, but for everyone around us.
It's a good reminder that the toughest battles, they're often the ones we're fighting within ourselves. And by finding that inner peace, we can actually become a force for peace out in the world. So think about it. If your mind was a battlefield, what would it look like today? Remember, you have the power to shape that inner landscape. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those big questions, and keep diving deep.